this is an emotional year for you. How do you go into this campaign, and how is it different?
I think you cherish each night. I'm going to be able to see a lot of the people that I've kind of rubbed shoulders with over the course of the years, who will be coming through Scotiabank Arena to say hello. So I think that that's possibly the one thing that will be, each night you kind of, a little chip off the granite is going to kind of go, I guess, if you will. But I'm looking forward to it. I know it's time. I'm quite content with the decision that I've made. And I'm glad that it's my decision and not someone like Shannon walking in the door and tapping me on the shoulder and saying, you know what, buddy, we just about had enough of your act. So let's go. So, and I think that's the way I wanted to do it.
So, just for the record, we've also made the decisions on our own, but they weren't really on our own. Just want to make that point.
Okay, good. All right, good. Well, as long as we're all on the same boat.
No, by the way, I never made the decision on my own. Yeah, they got to put me in a wheelbarrow and get me out of Dodge. So, how long have you been thinking about this, Joe?
Over the last couple of years, I think, John. The landscape has changed. We don't travel to road games, and that had an effect in it, I think. But, you're your own worst critic. And I know I'm not doing it as well as I did. I'm 74 years of age. I've had a wonderful run at it. And I just thought, this is as good a time as any. Some young person is going to slide into this chair next year, and under the current format, it's going to be the greatest job in the world that they could possibly get. It wasn't what I kind of signed up for, but that is just a piece of it. Most of it is just your own reflection on how you've done the job, how things have gone. And I'd like to spend some time with my grandkids and do some traveling and stuff like that while I'm still able to do so. So I think it's a great time to do it. And we're going to win the Stanley Cup this year, and it's all going to be a big parade, and everybody will be happy.
Well, as long as they get Jim Ralph to be the master ceremonies at the parade.
Well, there's that.
So you talked
good for Joe, by the way. Good for Joe for going all in on. Remember, I said he could say whatever he wanted.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
he just did.
So you talked about a young guy taking over the job. You were a young guy once taking over the job. Did you envision it ever lasting this long?
Oh God, Johnny. I was just hoping to get through game one.
By the way, the game one was who other than the Leafs, who was playing?
We were in the old Chicago Stadium.
Oh wow, what a great place to start!
It was. It is still to this day my favorite venue. But I got in a cab with the largest man I'd ever seen, I think, driving a cab, and he started down West Madison Street. I'd never been there before, and we're going, as you know, then that was the toughest part of Chicago. Yeah. And I thought to myself, I'm going on my last ride, and I'm never even going to get to do my first game. But then that mausoleum came out of sight. I saw the stadium for the first time. But when I got to the rink, I walked up the 97 stairs you had to go up to get to the broadcast position, sat there, and the engineer that we had couldn't get us on the air. It was a bell line. There was problems or whatever. I had scripted out what I wanted to say to kind of welcome myself to the position, taking over for Ron Hewitt and everything else. And we didn't get on the air till literally when the puck was coming out of the official's hand, and he just pointed at me to go. So all of that stuff that I had prepared, that went out the window, and game on. And I don't know if it was the right way to do it, but it probably sounded better because I'm probably sure I would have been him and Han, and my voice would have been cracking about the excitement that I had of having this opportunity. So, that was 1982. That's a long time ago. And it was a very special time. And I was just hoping to get through one game. and
I can't imagine. I can't imagine going to gate 3.5, which is what they had at Chicago Stadium. Gate 3.5.
Why they named that? I have no idea. But that was famous.
It was at the end of the building, so it was halfway between the north side and the south side. So it made sense. So, but a little different than the Sudbury Arena.
Oh God, yeah. And the booth that we had, the press box, of course, was at one end of the building, right behind the net. But we were up in a broadcast position, up higher than the TV guys would have been, and it was literally suspended from the ceiling with tie rods or whatever. And when that anthem started, that thing was like a tuning fork, and it started to vibrate. And you would kind of look up and make sure the bolts were still holding out up in the ceiling, because you kind of thought this thing is going down. It was crazy. The atmosphere in that building was unparalleled. And when they did close it, one of the great signage that was up in the upper deck was, "Never mind the view, never mind the roar, remember the view." Because they went from 21,000 seats, 0 private boxes, to 22,000 seats, 200 private boxes. And that guy's position up in the corner was not going to be anywhere near what it used to be.
Joe, how did you get the job?
Well, Alan Davis, who went on to great things with sports radio, not only in Toronto, but in Seattle and then in Buffalo. He was a good friend of mine in Halifax. And he ended up chasing a young lady's skirt to Toronto and ended up marrying her, and have had a wonderful life together. And he was working at CKFH, and he sent me a note in April that Ron Hewitt was going to go into radio sales and leaving the position. So send my stuff in. And I'd sent it all over the league like everybody else does and whatnot. And I have a wonderful, nice little letter from Cliff Fletcher, then of the Atlanta Flames, telling me that he had put it into a spot, which I assumed was the garbage can. But anyway, I still have the letter, which is kind of nice. And he said, send your stuff in. So I did, and never heard anything. And in the summer, my wife and I, we loved Halifax, and we decided we were going to buy a house. So in September, the mortgage came due on Wednesday. Everything was good. 22 points on the dollar too, Johnny.
Oh, I know. Interest rates in the early 80s. People don't know what they were missing.
No, they have no idea. 22 points on the dollar, 1982. Wednesday, I'm happy. I come home from doing the morning show with my very good friend, Mike Cranston, and the phone rings, and it's I answer it, and hi, this is Len Bramson, Telemedia Sports in Toronto. We've been listening to your audition tape. We would like you to come to Toronto to do the exhibition game with the Leafs and the Oilers as an audition. Now, I'd read in the paper that this thing was up to 2 guys from out west, and I didn't have any opportunity. And I thought it was Alan Davis. And I went into a diatribe cursing and swearing Alan for trying to yank my chain about something that is not happening. And
this is to the person that was on the phone with you, inviting you in?
This is to the late, great Lenny Bramson.
Yes.
This is to the person offering you the audition?
This is my first conversation. And I'm calling him and this, that, and everything else. And when I finally came up for air, Len says, Joe, no, this isn't Alan Davis. This is Len Bramson. And then I turned into Jackie Gleason. And he said to me, we're going to, I said, this great introduction, but we'll phone you back with plain information and all of this. And I hung the phone up and I went to grab a sharp knife. I thought, you idiot. Here's your one chance, and you have you've destroyed this. I would have slit my wrists, I think. But instead of 20 minutes, he phoned me back in about 10. He said, Joe, we've listened to your tape again. That was the most interesting conversation I've ever had of hiring somebody and having them to tell me to take my job and shove it before I even offered the job. And he said, we don't need the audition. Fly in, we'll sign the contract. And I am living proof you can tell your boss to go stuff it and still end up getting the job. So I wouldn't recommend it.
I did that and lost my job, Joe. So it's
yeah. No, lots of people have done it the other way, Johnny, and rightly so in many occasions, right? Rightly so. But no, that was kind of a unique thing. And every time we had a meeting or anything else, when we were sitting down, and Len Bramson would be there, he said, Joe, do you have anything to say to me before we start? And we would laugh, and then on we would go. He was a tremendous individual. He had a vision about radio that I wish was still in place, of building a network using the dollars from national sponsors to provide free broadcasts to various. We had a network of 23, 24 stations. Mm-hmm. And then they would get free programming and then be able to sell half of the inventory through the course of that. So between that and the Blue Jays and everything else that Telemedia had, it was quite a run. It was great.